The Noles got their QB yesterday. DJ Uiagalelei announced his transfer to FSU, and it is a big piece to the Noles offseason transformation of this roster, but they are not done. There's a bunch of transfer targets on campus this week. So in this video, I got Michael Langston of War Chant on today's video. He's going to talk about who's a priority amongst all these targets. But first, FSU fans, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We did it all 2023. We're going to do it again in 2024. We want you to be a part of it, so hit subscribe for me, please. All right. DJU headed to FSU. Marvin Jones, he's the other big addition for FSU right now, but Mike Langston, there's others, and they're coming in this weekend. Edge Nick Scorton, he's the first one we're going to talk about. He's leaving Purdue, major need, visiting FSU, A&M, Oklahoma, Louisville. What are you hearing on the Noles' chances here?
Yeah, I mean, that's the major one. Obviously, getting DJU was some positive momentum because they haven't had a lot of good news, just on the snub, the playoff, the games, bowl games. So Nick Scorton is certainly a guy that's the top. It reminds me of the recruitment that they had with Jared Verse, where they prioritized him so heavily. I've heard, like, even some people in the family like FSU a lot. So I've heard there's some positive momentum, I think, building with FSU going this visit. I think Texas A&M's the first visit, then Florida State. I'm not sure he takes any more after that. Like, I could see him, I'm good, and make a decision out of those schools. But that's what I kind of feel. And then I do feel there's some confidence around FSU that's kind of slowly starting to build.
So he comes in, and you think that there's a chance that, FSU could try to close that out and make that the last visit that Scorton takes?
I could see that. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting, that he might only take those two. Now, it's nothing guaranteed. He might change his mind and say, hey, maybe I want to do one more. But that's kind of the feeling I've heard, is that, it could be just two visits.
Okay, we'll see there. Now, that's kind of how the transfer portal works. These guys, they might line up a bunch of visits, but unlike the high school level, they can commit and they can shut it down at any time. So we got to see what happens with Nick Scorton, his visit to FSU. Now, you mentioned DJU. He's on board. FSU officially announced him on Tuesday morning. Now, you got your quarterback. You got to get some pieces around him. Evan Stewart is out there. Evan Stewart is leaving Texas A&M. He was the top-ranked wide receiver coming out of that 2022 class, and now that he's in the portal, he's very highly sought after. What are you hearing about Florida State's chances here, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, last year it was Keon Coleman, and Keon's kind of a different receiver than Evan. Evan's more of a home run hitter. He's just a pure everything, certainly a receiver. So I think, from route running, all that stuff, but I think FSU is pretty involved here. Based on what I've heard, is that they're trying to get a visit finalized. I know Tennessee, Ole Miss, Southern Cal, mainly Ole Miss, Southern Cal have been the teams that I've heard from my end, from the FSU side of things, or even people I talk to. But I know Tennessee is also in there, and he's going to be a very coveted prospect because he is, like I said, a home run hitter. He does everything. You can use him the outside, inside. So I think he's a guy that's going to be very popular, but I do know that FSU, is hoping to finalize a visit based on what I'm hearing, or at least working on it. And then, that's a guy that I've told people, like, look, there's going to be like 9 people on this visit list, and there could be more this week. So I think he's one of those guys they're hoping to, solidify a visit.
Yeah, Evan Stewart hasn't publicly set any visits yet, but we do know there's a lot of teams of interest. So as we tape this on Tuesday, by Wednesday or Thursday, I mean, he could have a full slate of visits scheduled. So we just got to see how this one plays out. But he is on Florida State's radar. Another player on Florida State's radar, I read your nuggets on War Chant today about transfer targets, and I saw Jabari Barber, a very productive wide receiver from Troy. How big of a priority is he right now for FSU?
I think pretty big. Now they're also hosting another wide receiver. I'll get into him in a minute, but Jabari's been one of those guys that they've been on since he hit the portal very early. They like how explosive he can be in the slot, and we've seen that with FSU with their receivers. Like, they want guys that get separation, and certainly it's an experienced guy. Nearly 1,000 yards. I don't think I've ever seen a guy have 999 yards in a season, but He had it this year, and I think 8 touchdowns. So he's definitely a guy they covet. I think he is taking several visits, so I do think that one's going to go the 3 visit range. But he's originally, I think, from Dothan, Alabama. So certainly a guy that I think could change your room, and certainly adding guys like DJU. That's the thing I heard. Like right when FSU got DJU, I started to hear buzz, Josh, just about these recruits talking about, hey, I want to check out FSU now because kind of what the quarterback dominoes do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you had teased you wanted to mention another wide receiver of interest for FSU.
Yeah, another one is LaJonte Wester, and he is, I want to say he's committed somewhere, but I could be wrong. No, he's not committed. He's actually he's a guy that is from FAU. Auburn really likes him. He's a guy that I know Dugans has ties to previously, so that's another one that was thrown on my radar. It was a new name that I hadn't had, but I did know they were interested, but I didn't know what level it was. So that's another one it throws in. So what that tells me, Josh, is they want to get 2 receivers in this class. That's what that tells me. Like they want to get 2 more receivers because they didn't get quite what they were hoping to get from the high school market. And I think they really want to solidify this position. And they want to put pieces around for DJU. They want to have him having all the right spots and all the right guys. Certainly at tight end, you have Landon Thomas, a top tight end in the country, coming in. You also have Morlock, who's a top tight end. So you want to put all these weapons around him. We've even seen that with running back. They're going to bring likely a running back in this class. So I think this is all about FSU positioning things around DJ to make sure they have what they need to make that run, another run for potential championship team.
Yeah, and one of the running backs they are looking at, because you got to put some weapons around DJU, and that's running back Jaylen Lucas, who's leaving Indiana. He can play special teams, also has a connection with a family member on the team. Is he set to visit?
Yes, he is. As you pointed out, Jakai's younger brother. Me and Josh actually watched this guy, when he was in the camp scene, and he was a guy that they really wanted. They just did not have the room at that time to add him. I think more so, a guy that's kind of a jack of all trades, where you can use him at Wildcat, you can use him. But his main thing is special teams. He is just an elite demon as far as punt returns and kick returns. And we know FSU is going to have an opening there because Keon's leaving. They don't really have a guy that is yet there. So, and we know how big special teams is to Mike Norvell. So this is a guy I think this time they're not going to let it slip away. That's the feeling I get. He's visiting, I think, on the 5th through the 6th, and I think that's a guy. I think they closed the deal. Although Penn State is also another team that's in there, I just feel like this kid wanted to be there the first time. Coach Yak's there, David Johnson that he's really tight with, and Jakai's there. It just makes too much sense to not see it happening.
Well, then how does Penny Boon play into it? Because he's one of the most explosive running backs in the portal. He's leaving Toledo, and he put FSU in his top 3. So does that mean that this spot is first come, first serve, or could you potentially see FSU taking Penny Boon along with Jaylen Lucas?
I think the main thing to focus on is not put a running back position on Jaylen. I think that's more of a special teams. And then they want a pure running back, which is Penny Boon, maybe even Jaquavius Marks. I've heard some little rumors that even though he's committed to SC, he could visit over there. FSU, he's got a previous connection with Yak. I know that's one of their top guys, and so we'll see if he pops up this weekend. So I do think they want a pure running back, and they want a guy that's special teams weapon like Jaylen Lucas.
All right. Well, we always know offensive line's a major need. Pearson Toomey from Furman is coming in this week. I got a question, though. What need does he fill, Mike? Is he an offensive tackle? Is he an interior guy? Can he snap it? What's he going to play if he were to transfer to Florida State?
Yeah, if you watch his high school film, you're like, okay, he's a tackle. You watch him, and then you watch him, he's done mostly inside. I tend to believe, based on the intel I got, is that they need a center. And I think he can fit that center position of what they like. He hits the second level really well. His blocks, he gets off the blocks really quick, snaps. I think that's something he feels he can do comfortably. So I think he's an interior guy if you watch a lot of what he does. But that's what I kind of think. I feel the center is what
Mm-hmm.
place I think they like him the most.
So break down offensive line needs just in general. How many players do you think Florida State could pull from the portal to fill those offensive line needs?
I think they feel good for the most part of what they have, but I do think they want a tackle and they
Mm-hmm.
want a center. I've said that the center was the most important place. They got a few guys that can, cross train from the high school market but you can't count on that. And then they have a few guys that are on their team. But I think they want a pure center that's going to push Maurice. They got big news. Maurice Smith's coming back next year, so that's a big deal. But they need somebody to push Maurice as far as that center position. And I think they want a pure center. I think that's one of the most important things for FSU. I think they would like to add another tackle. Darius Washington, Robert Scott are both coming back next year. That's obviously major news for
Yeah, that's
FSU,
big.
but you need some competition there for that starting spot. And I think that's why I see them going after a tackle and center.
Well, they got DJU. Now it's about protecting him. It's about finding some weapons and putting them around him, and that's what's happening right now. It should be an exciting week. Mike Langston, thanks for stopping by the Inside Scoop, talking a little transfer portal with us today.
Anytime, man.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.